Hey, good morning, everyone. Happy Saturday. It's 9:30 a.m., April 18th, and welcome to the Alpha Trades morning video. Again, folks, we are formerly known as Cryptosomniac. We've decided to pivot our name over to Alpha Trades because we're effectively doing more than crypto, right? We've got crypto as well as Forex and equities and oil, such as the commodities channel. We're going to open up gold possibly soon, and we're also looking into options right here as well. Okay, so we're now branching out and expanding into different parts of the space because Faisal and I effectively trade all these asset classes. But previously, prior to this year, I think crypto was essentially our mainstream of revenue. And now it looks like, more and more people are interested in what's happening in the stock market and the Forex markets. So we want to teach you guys, whether it's aspiring or experienced traders, how to effectively trade on a day-to-day basis and make money consistently and profitably. Okay. Again, we cannot provide you financial advice because we're not financial advisors, but what we can do is we can teach you the skills and show you guys exactly how Faisal and I trade in different markets and how we do so successfully. Okay. One of our videos yesterday, I did a video yesterday on hedging, specifically relating to Bitcoin. And we do these kinds of videos, educational videos, and that's just a big part of our community, education. Okay. So you can go check that out. You can do, a quick Google search for Alpha Trades or even Cryptosomniac. All that should bring you to Alpha Trades now. So yeah, just wanted to let you guys know that the branding has sort of switched, but don't be turned off because we are the same people, the same community, and we still deliver the same excellent content every single day. So here we go. All right. So first things first, we're going to take a look at Bitcoin. Okay. So what we see is a breakout to the upside, breaking above this key resistance at 7,097 from, I think, back here. Where was it? This area right here on April 4th. Okay, so that was a key breakout that we needed. Also, more importantly, I thought this was actually a good movement to the upside, which is breaking above the 2020 yearly open. Okay, you can see the last couple of times we've actually struggled above that, like right there, right there, right there, and right there. And now that we're finally above it, I would not be surprised if we sort of get like a retest right here and then try to attempt to push back up. If we don't get a proper retest like this and we don't quite, go like this and try to push back up, I probably say that this will have been your deviation right here, and we should be, breaking down further. Okay, but that remains to be seen. How much time we spend up here, what kind of follow through we get up from here. Okay, so the options really are at present moment that you can just wait, or you can long here based on the fact that we busted through the 2020 yearly open. And longing here would mean your stop have to be at least 7,050 or lower down here around 69.75. Okay, I would probably say this area down here is a little bit safer because Bitcoin has been very choppy lately. So if we get drops, I wouldn't be surprised if liquidity in this area right here gets taken, and then it starts pushing back up. Okay, so do be careful on that. One good sign that I've consistently said since over here was that breakout outside this trend line right here was particularly good because this trend line actually stretches back much further. Okay, and I'll show you guys that real quick. If we go on the 12-hour time frame here, right, you can see it stretches back from way over here, 18th of February, lower high touch, lower high touch, lower high touch. And now it looks like we're breaking away from it. Okay, so I would say this is a positive sign for the bulls. Okay, we've consistently held this trend line and above it for about 36 hours or so. Okay, so very positive sign. All right, let me see here. Now, if you're looking for shorts, one area that I was particularly looking at was this area. If you look at this consolidation around 7,300, you can see this is where the high volume node is around this area. Okay, so it's very possible that we kind of hit this area right here at 7,300 and potentially push back down. Doesn't mean we have to, push back down all the way down here or anything. It just means that it's possible that, we get another pullback potentially. Okay. So that pullback could, potentially give you another opportunity to get into a good long position. Okay. We are still above the weekly open. Remember, I like to map out the weekly opens as well as the monthly opens because it really helps you understand exactly where price is in relation to each of the weeks that have opened up previously. Okay. So from March 29th all the way to April 6th, April 12th, you can see prices consistently pushed up and up. Okay. So for now, I mean, this is definitely, temporarily bullish. There's no arguing that. Okay. I think the only argument comes to the fact that, have we become bullish enough to, start changing this trend around right here, which was, the high right there, lower high, lower high, lower high, and then maybe another lower high right there. I also explained that if you look at this movement right here, so if you look at, this kind of base that was formed, okay, and then you look at this base that was formed. So let's just, map it out right there, right? If you look at that, you could see that, after this consolidation, big push up, we had a couple candles sideways, move down, and then pushes back up into this area that was previous support, might test it as resistance, and then it might start breaking down like this, just like this candle did right here, okay? Now, I guess the argument is that, in this particular case, why you could push up further is, obviously we created a high, a low right there as per the daily time frame. We haven't established a lower high. So it's really 50-50. This could go either way. For all I know, this could just bust up higher, right? It's very possible. And based on the 4-hour time frame, we've also stated that the big near-term resistance is so close that I would not be surprised if we actually make that push towards that area. And that area is between $7,600 and about $8,150. Okay. But again, it's just very challenging to try to predict what's happening in this market and, try to trade based on that because I would probably say Bitcoin has been following technicals much, much better than it has been following any key trends, right? When the trend looked like it was shifting right here, for the high, the low right there, the lower high, lower low, lower high, and then lower low, and then you just get a massive surge of volume, then you do this. You can see that this has kind of been the case for Bitcoin over the last several weeks. It's been incredibly choppy right here, right? So it's just kind of very tough to trade in this particular case. But like I said, if you get an opportunity to long above 71.65 or you get a pullback for a long, you could effectively ride that up to 7,300, maybe even as high as 7,600 or 8,150. Okay. I'll be letting my community know exactly what my thoughts are on this and what kind of positions we take. But until then, I'm kind of just looking at the market from a broad perspective of what's happening in equities, what's happening, in the U.S. Treasuries, oil, whether it's U.S. oil, WTI, or Brent. This is one thing that I found interesting was, if you look at oil, right, the U.S. oil right here, WTI, is significantly lower right now than the Brent crude, which is the UK oil. U.S. oil has actually started to sell off more while Brent crude is actually put in a higher low. And this is to me concerning because, and I'll tell you guys how this sort of relates to the overall market. Okay. So obviously WTI being more focused on the US side of the industry, right? And given the fact that the US has actually suffered a lot in terms of its economy, whether it's the S&P 500 or equities dropping a lot, whether it's the 22 million jobless numbers, the highest number of deaths due to coronavirus, highest number of infections. I mean, all kinds of numbers across the board can tell you that the U.S. has really gotten the brunt of, the coronavirus. So this kind of tells me that, maybe Europe is doing a little bit better overall, or maybe at least the UK, but the U.S. is really struggling. And remember, U.S. oil specifically, is about 8% of overall U.S. GDP. It houses about 8 to 9 million jobs. I'd stated that above $30, 61% of companies are solvent. Now we're at 18.44. That's where we last closed. So that means a majority of companies are significantly losing money or on the brink of insolvency or bankruptcy because they can't afford to pay their employees at current prices, and they just can't afford to drill at current prices, right? So yeah, either you stop production, stop paying your employees, or you may not even be able to pay back your bills to banks. So in either case, you're kind of in a lot of trouble. Okay. Another positive sign that I think, well, I guess not positive, but rather a confirmation of the negative, is that I've stated before that bonds are really the areas that you want to look out for when it comes to the health of the overall market. And you can see bonds right here still not showing any signs of life. Okay, still at the 10-year is stuck at 0.65, while the stock market has soared higher. So I think the bonds are effectively signaling to shareholders or investors that all is not well in the health of the economy. And these are usually some of the signs that you want to look out for in the bond markets that who knows, there might be more pain to come. Okay, so this is why I'm also careful on Bitcoin, right? So this kind of all ties in together, right? The reason we talk about oil is because it relates to the stock market. The reason we talk about the bond market is because it shows the health of the stock market as well as the economy. The reason we talk about both these, whether it's the bonds or the equity side, is because crypto is fully related to it. I've stated before that Bitcoin has never seen a recession. Okay, so the way it does in recessions is going to be critically important. I mean, this is the one time Bitcoin should be shining, right? It was built for times like this. It was built for surplus of money. It was built for when governments themselves were distrusting, or rather, people were distrusting of their government in terms of how much, fiscal irresponsibility there is, whether it's printing of money, whether it's, bailing out corporations, what have you, right? So Bitcoin is built for times like this. And so if Bitcoin cannot actually thrive in this kind of environment, okay, where the whole world is struggling, then I'd probably say Bitcoin is still, in its larger price discovery phase. And that means it could be, price discovery as well as its usefulness. So that means Bitcoin could go much lower, whether it's back towards, 4,000s, 3,000s, or 2,000s. I think it's very possible because you cannot rule out the fact that over the past several days or several weeks, equities have been going up. Okay, so that means Bitcoin has been going up. But when equities come down, will Bitcoin come crashing down even harder, right? Because, like I said, it's never faced a recession, okay? It's, prime case for existence is right now, okay? Like the time that we're living through right now, it should be thriving, okay? So if it doesn't, and again, if equity starts selling off and then Bitcoin starts selling off with it, then that means it doesn't really have any uncorrelated or negatively correlated upside. All it's really doing is just moving with equities. So why would I want to get something that's high risk like Bitcoin, and use that as a correlation with equities when I could just buy real equities that are real companies like Apple or Ford or Amazon, Facebook, Netflix, right? I mean, of course, you could still make the argument that, well, Bitcoin's trying to be, new currency, new money, alternative currency, alternative financial system. But if it's not moving against the traditional markets like it's supposed to, well, part of its use case has effectively, been seen as ineffective, right? So you want to be careful at pretending like Bitcoin is going to be thriving. Rather, it's supposed to be showing you right now at present moment, as well as the next several months, what it's supposed to, really do. Now, one of my other arguments, Faisal and I have discussed this before, is that, it's very possible that we get a ranging environment over the next several months, maybe even into the summer, to really assess the damage in the economy. right? So the economy, especially in America and different parts of the world, is slowly opening back up. And if more cases spark back up, or businesses are still slow to open, or people are scared to go out, or overall the economy is just still very very slowly moving, you could expect this kind of ranging movement over the next several months, and then potentially by the end of the summer or something, then you see that big drop off to the downside. Okay, this is a very possible scenario that you might see ranging in this environment and then start breaking down. Okay, and then what that means is same thing for Bitcoin, right? We could range between 7,000 and down to 4,000 for several months, and then finally make that move down. Okay, so don't underestimate that the market cannot go down, because it very well can, and it's done that before. If you look back in history, I mean, even the trade war back here in 2018, you can see we ranged here for almost 2.5 months or so right there. As you can see, we had a drop, came back, put in a low right there around 26th October, ranged till about 4th of December, so a good month and a half, and then finally sold off, right? So this kind of ranging movement before the big move to the downside has been kind of common in the equity side, okay? You can even go back to 2008, 2009, right? It's done that right here. First drop, chops around for a little bit, and then makes that big drop. So first drop right here, actually right there, January 2008, and then it chops around here, and finally starts breaking down August or September of 2008. So it really sells off right there. So 6, 7, 8 months later, okay? So these are just things that I want you guys to be aware of. I know in the heat of the moment, all we want to do is trade the asset, long it, short it, whatever. But if you look at the bigger picture of what's happening around the world, a bigger structure, a bigger outlook is developing. Okay, and if you want to keep your eyes open, as well as keep an open mind to what could potentially happen, you won't get sucked into the smaller time frames and be trading them internally and potentially lose money. Okay, so yeah, I mean, wait for the bigger picture. And if you want to trade, like I said, the opportunities are there. The 7300 high volume node is right there, so you could short it. Alternatively, if you believe that 7165, which was the yearly open, has effectively been broken, if you think that that's the case in the 1 hour time frame right here, you could either long right here or wait for a pullback to this downside and then long it. So plenty of options. Okay, if we go to my Twitter real quick, lots of interesting stuff coming out, right? I actually found this article right here to be really interesting. South Korea stated that some of the recovered patients actually tested positive again. Okay, so that's kind of interesting, because that means that maybe even if you get better, you still may be susceptible to the virus in terms of getting it again. So that means that there's really no immunity that your system could develop. Obviously, this is just a few cases in South Korea. We also don't know if maybe other people have a different tendency in terms of their immune system to develop immunity. But this was also just an interesting development, right? If we go down my Twitter, earnings are going to be terrible. Obviously, we know that. Last week, we had some earnings come out for the banking side, JP Morgan Chase specifically. There's going to be a lot more earnings coming out in the next few weeks, right? Whether it's for the retail side, whether it's for the banking sector, whether it's for the tech sector, et cetera. So it's going to be, and even the auto side. So it's going to be really interesting in understanding what the damage has been done to the economy. And I would figure that the S&P 500 at some point is going to start reacting to bad news. You can't just keep going up when the whole economy is falling apart, right? Obviously, I understand that markets can be rational, but the Fed also cannot just keep printing money and backstop everything across the board, right? At some point, it's going to have to stop. Okay, so it's just something to keep in mind. All right. But I mean, if you're watching my videos and you're starting to understand, overall, they still have a bearish bias. Okay, I think that's abundantly clear. But I don't want to have a bearish bias to the point where I'll constantly be bearish even when we have higher highs up here. It's not the case, right? I'm always going to trade the charts. I don't care if the Fed keeps printing. I mean, what am I supposed to do? Okay, if the Fed keeps printing, you jump in. Okay, the only thing I'm not doing right now is I'm not longing. I'm building into short positions for the longer run. By the way, I've explained to my Advantage community members for summer and then the months out into Q4. I've got some option put positions. Again, these are all evident in our equity side of the channel right here. I've longed gold equities, gold ETFs. I've shorted, companies that are more heavy into the oil sector. So I've done whatever I need to do to prepare for what may lie ahead, right? So again, these are all things that we mentioned to our Advantage folks. And then obviously we're also trading Forex. So last week, actually, we closed a really nice Forex trade right here. This one was US dollar ZAR, so the South African Rand. We got into the Rand around 18.08, and we closed that trade all the way up near 18.69 or so. So you can see right there, so good amount of profit right there. All right, so these are, Forex trades if you're interested in learning Forex. If you're interested in understanding how to trade oil as well, I mean, we have Vasal's analysis, which is always great. He gives you companies to look out for, what's happening in the oil sector. He has a fantastic understanding of, how the oil sector relates to the equities side. And he also does equities updates, as you can see right here, every single day. So he does a fantastic job in helping you understand both the bullish and the bearish side, okay? And I think that's one of the testaments to our community is, we don't just blindly become bearish or bullish. It's rather what we're seeing in the environment around us, how we assess the market, and then we take positions accordingly and we let our Advantage community members know. All right. All right. So like I said, find us on Twitter, the Alpha Trades right there. Remember, we were formerly Cryptosomniac. You can go to the Cryptosomniac website still, and you could sign up for the Advantage membership. As I've said before, we added equity side, we added a Forex channel, oil options, and all that, is still currently at 97 per month. We're not going to change that until May 5th. So make sure you join at the discounted rate. All right. Before we actually make those changes. Okay. Because once you get grandfathered in, your rate will not change. Okay. That I can guarantee you. All right. So thank you so much for watching. Good luck to you in the markets, folks. Stay vigilant, and I'll catch up with you all soon. Have a great rest of your weekend.